What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of At the Pump. This is Patrick sitting here with my buddy Brian. Today we're going to be talking about, as car enthusiasts, the cars that we just never got in the United States.
The cars we got gypped on.
Yeah, we got
we
like
should have
backhanded.
seen.
Like, you know what? These are cool. Y'all aren't going to get them over in the US.
For some reason, they spited us and kept a few good ones for the countries or continents that made them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dive in today and kind of talk about some of the ones that we've written down. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be probably a lot that we don't touch on today because there are a lot of cars that the US didn't get, right?
Yeah.
So we're focusing this video on enthusiasts like us and like you guys as a listener, certain cars that, maybe starting to become available now in the US or just cars that we never got.
Yeah, or we wish we were able to buy.
For sure.
Yeah.
So for a lot of you that don't know, there's a 25-year import law in the United States. And really where this came from is the IVSCA, which is the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act. So as you guys are familiar with, all the crash safety testing, stuff like that is very important in the U.S. So these older cars don't have near this, I don't know
safety
what you call
standards.
it. Yeah, safety standards or whatever it is to be compliant in the U.S. So any car that was inside the 25-year rule would have to kind of go through this like lengthy and costly testing for crashing and, all this federalizing process.
Which essentially you'd have to buy two of them, one to test it and crash it, and then one that you'd want to drive around and keep.
It's a headache, right? I mean, it's a lot of money. So the 25-year rule exempts certain cars, if they're 25 years and older, exempts them from that process.
Yeah.
So, we've seen cars already get imported by the 25-year rule. We have a lot coming up that a lot of enthusiasts are looking for. We're going to dive into it right now once you start
Specifically, like the JDM crowd is just chomping at the bit for these mid-90s, late 90s. I mean, I call them like collector cars now.
Yeah.
But the like Halo JDM cars are now becoming available because they're 25 years old.
Sure. So
just to start it off, I think the creme de la creme or the Halo car from Nissan, an R34 GT-R, is from 99 to 02. So we're almost there past this 25-year rule in a few more years. And that's something that I think is going to be, like we were talking about earlier, just skyrocketing in price. These things in a mint condition, limited production car. It's a 6-figure price tag right now.
Absolutely.
To get this thing over here. If you go back through the different chassis codes, like an R34 is the latest model that they had. An R33 is slowly getting over there now from 95 to 98.
Yep.
So we're just getting the first chunk of those that are available here. We've seen there's a couple guys in Arizona that have R32s that go to car shows and stuff. They were from 89 to 94.
Right.
But this is your classic, like all-wheel drive, Nissan, right-hand drive, 6-speed, driver enthusiast
RB26.
car. Yeah, exactly.
And we're not going to jump into the older, because the Skyline generations keep going older and
way
older.
back into the 70s.
We're not going to jump into that stuff. I mean, those are great cars too, but for this purpose, we're starting at the R32 and kind of moving, R32, R33, R34.
And forward, yeah.
So this is your, production year of 89 to 90 all the way up to 2002.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest popularity of these cars has come from the Fast and Furious movies. Now, that's not the only reason why people like these, but you can't argue the fact that that's probably the main reason why a lot of people know what these cars are, kind of going like, damn, Paul Walker, this car is really cool.
Exactly.
Like, it's just stuff. I think there's something to be said for a car that we never got, that just us as car enthusiasts kind of, obviously you take it away from us, we want it more.
Yeah, I was just going to say, anything that you can't have, it almost gravitates people to want it and seek it out even more than they would if it was readily available in the U.S.
Right.
So for that reason, amongst many others, those are extremely sought after. And then you can roll through to another JDM company, Honda. We got some of these, but they were like different types or, different headlights, body styles. A lot of Honda and Acura interchanged there.
Yep.
But like the Civic Type R, the Integra Type R,
the DC2,
and then a NSX, which was Honda over there, but an NSX Type R.
Right.
So like all of these, we kind of got a less powerful, less driver-focused version for here in America. And it's like we're getting the same thing, but it's watered down. It didn't feel as it was a true Japanese like driver car.
Sure.
That was the VTEC kind of boom. I mean, those cars are still soaring in price. I mean, I remember when we were kids, in high school, you can get a Civic or an Integra for like 10 grand, 10 to 15, a few years old. Wasn't anything crazy. Now these cars are like 30 mint condition, 50 if they're like bring a trailer type status. So it's insane what some of them have done. Another one, Japanese, while we're sticking in that, was a Subaru 22B STI, like the Colin McRae car.
Yeah.
That two-door STI version. We never got that in America. It started off with, I'd say, like the Bug-Eye WRX.
Right.
And then from then on progressed. Another one that we missed from their arch rival was a Lancer Mitsubishi Evolution Wagon.
That was cool. I didn't even know they had that, by the way.
Yeah, which looked badass. The rear end looks a little goofy with the taillights going from like the roof line
kind of the
down
Volvo
to the bumper.
style,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it's still cool. I mean, you think of like an Evo
That
8,
looks
Evo
great.
9
Yep.
wagon, same motor. I'm probably the biggest wagon fan
Yeah.
on this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
For someone that doesn't own a wagon yet. But.
And for some reason, we'll touch upon some other companies, some Euro stuff, but it seems like we never got wagons, any good wagons here in the States.
Well, the thing about it is the States went the SUV route.
That's true.
The Euro world is wagons, right? If you needed
Yeah.
to take the family, if you needed storage, if you needed a bigger car, you go wagon.
They don't have trucks and SUVs
No.
out there, I guess. That's
No,
true.
they're not going to have a lifted Bronco running around
Right.
downtown London. You know what I mean?
Right.
So wagons are their SUVs. That's their variant of a family saloon style car that's got all the room in the world for you to travel or put your suitcase or your kids in or your dogs or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got the SUV variants. Another car to talk about too, the S15 Sylvia might be one of the best looking cars.
Yes.
I think, there's in that whole 90s generation of JDM stuff, the Supras, the RX-7s. I mean, we got a lot of those cars here in the States, but that S15 Sylvia is a sick car.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool.
Definitely. Those look really clean. I love the front end of that.
A surprise car that I'm sure you guys follow Adam LZ. He's got multiple of these, but the Toyota Chasers, the JZX90s, JZX 100s, essentially is a four-door Supra with a 1JZ. I think that is a sick car.
Yeah.
Really cool.
You got some power for four doors if you need to haul around the family.
Yeah.
And it's like a sports sedan.
And they look good too.
Yeah.
They're huge.
And they're big. I was going to say that's a big body sedan.
Actually, a good friend of mine, a coworker, just imported a Nissan Pulsar Gti-R.
Those are like the little hatch type.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a Group A rally style car. It's really cool. It's a SR20. It's like a baby Godzilla.
Ooh, okay.
Right? It's got the same Tesla all-wheel drive system as the GTRs do. It's a cool car. I mean, his looks awesome, and I think it's unique because you don't see stuff like that over here.
Right. Not at all.
And it's super tiny too.
So going from tiny to the big boy, a Toyota Century, which is like their version of a ultra premium luxury flagship
it's
sedan.
like a Chinese Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly. That you'd get chauffeured around in. You're not driving that yourself. So that's really cool. Not many people know about them, but they were made for the last like 30 or 40 years.
I think those cars are the ones that Toyota actually chooses who can buy that car versus if you just had all the money in the world,
you could buy it
to go buy it. I think that's have
really
to be
cool.
chosen to buy it.
That's really cool.
It's strange.
They vet out their customers to make sure it's in good hands.
Yeah. And I think it's strictly in the overseas market. I don't think there's any in the States, maybe a couple throughout Europe, but I think they're like super selective on who gets that car.
Nice. That's awesome. From there, we go to the Euro stuff. This is kind of your realm, your ballpark. So what's your...
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I wrote down a couple of things. I wrote down, obviously as an Audi fan, RS2 Avant, RS4, B5 RS4, stuff like that we just never got over here. Again, the whole wagon trend, I think what I love is it's starting to catch on here in the States.
Yeah, we're finally getting the RS6 wagon.
Yeah, the new RS6, which was another thing that I wrote down. We never got that in the past, the RS4 Avants, the RS6 Avants, and now we're finally getting that in the States. I think Audi is going to see that car just take off here.
So the Avant is the Euro term for wagon?
Yeah, it's their fancy word for wagon or Sportback or whatever it is.
Yeah, gotcha.
But those cars are really cool. We just never got them. But,
it's kind of a shame.
What's cool about that RS2, I think it was 1994, it was a conjunction build between Audi and Porsche. They shared a lot of the same components. And if you actually put those two side by side, you look at an older like air-cooled Porsche 964 or whatever it is, you look at that versus an RS2 Avant, you'll actually see a lot of similarities. They actually use the same wheels.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Brakes said Porsche on the RS2 Avants, and a lot of other little stuff that they shared.
Nice. So another cool, at least this is what I remember fleeting from back in the day, was the BMW M5 with the V10 was a manual wagon over in Germany.
That's
which
insane.
We never got.
That car sounds amazing. I mean,
we got the sedan version, which is awesome.
That was the E60 M5.
Yeah.
This is called the E61 M5, the wagon that was strictly for the European market.
Yeah.
And in a manual.
The best of both worlds, I think. You get a wagon manual V10.
That V10, if I'm not mistaken, was built in conjunction with the Sauber F1 team as well.
Ooh,
which,
okay.
You know, it makes sense. You start hearing that car screaming down the road. I mean, it sounds like a freaking F1 car.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely tell where the engineering came from and stuff on that. So does that kind of cap it out for the Euro stuff?
Well, so I got a couple others. I got the M3 E46 Csl. So that was a very limited production car. I think they made about 1,383 of these cars, available in only two colors. It was like a metallic silver gray and then a metallic black.
Okay.
And CSL essentially stands for Coupe, Sports, and Lightweight. So it's their race car version or just an extremely rare version.
They're tuned up M3.
Yeah, E46 M3 CSL. That's a car that we never got in the States. And then while on that train too, the Porsche 911 993 GT2.
Okay.
So the last of the air-cooled, I think, in my mind, the best-looking Porsche, maybe to date. A stunning car. The GT2 variant, their absolute top-of-the-line race car. We never got that in the States. We got variants of it. We got, your turbos and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the 993 GT2
and the air-cooled Porsches are just booming in price or value right now. So if you got your hands on one of those, that's crazy expensive, I would imagine.
My dad,
and super rare.
My dad had when we were kids, had a early 90s convertible 911 wide body, and it was awesome. But I can only imagine what that car is worth now versus what it was when we sold it. 20 years ago.
No kidding. So jumping over to a country that you probably don't think makes cool cars, but essentially is like the stepchild of GM. In Australia, they have Holden.
Yes.
And at least for me, I remember because one of our friends in high school had 04 LS1 GTO, and at that time, Holden made pretty much their version of the GTO.
Yeah.
And then they came out with a Holden Ute later on, which was like a El Camino kind of mix.
Yeah.
Badass.
It's a cool car.
Supercharged 6.2, I think.
I think puts 6.2, out some power, whatever it was. But that's a cool car. I really like that. It's like a badass modern version of an El Camino.
Yeah. Which if they did make an El Camino again, that would be the one. I mean, if we could have gotten that in the States, I think it would have sold more than like an SSR or some of the other hunky junky
PT Cruiser.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the other weird stuff that they put out. But yeah, from Australia, Holden's essentially it's a GM product. They were manufactured in Australia or built there. I think they looked great. The grille and the lights and stuff were a little different on that like GTO version in the mid 2000s. And then they killed it. I think they knocked it out of the park with the remake on the El Camino lookalike.
Yeah.
So that's another badass one that I think we totally got gypped on.
Holden had like a play with the Pontiac like my G8 and their variant of it. I mean, they had a lot of
that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, the Holden Ute is awesome. For those that don't know what that is, go look at that right now because it's a pretty unique looking car. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome.
I would definitely drive one. I would cruise that around. It looks awesome. It's probably a little tail happy, rear wheel drive, manual, big V8 supercharged, but yeah, you're smoking tires in that for sure.
I have one last one to kind of talk about, which is not from across the pond. It's actually from the States, but we never got the car in the States. It just was shipped over the pond to Europe. Very weird scenario. Ford, which is America's America, the RS 200.
Wait, you're saying we never got a Ford
No.
vehicle here in the U.S.?
No, this car went across the pond. Group B rally car, inspired mid-engine, all-wheel drive.
Oh,
Ken Block.
This is the Ken Block
Yeah,
car
Ken Block
that he's
has
using
one.
now. Okay.
Cosworth builds, Cosworth motor, stuff like that. I mean, it's RS 200.
Whoa.
I cannot. It's weird. Ford, that's as America as it gets, right there.
Right. This makes no. I'm listening to this like, wait, they didn't make these here?
No, It was a homologation car, so essentially they had to prove that it was a buildable car that
Production
could be street
car or
legal
something,
and
yeah.
production quality. So it's essentially a absolute race car that was made for the streets.
Okay.
But tiny looking little car. I think it looks really cool, but it's so weird. An American company, we never got it.
And that's like mid-engine, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Ford?
Yeah, seriously, you're gypping
Come
us
on.
on probably, arguably, I think your best product, maybe
Yeah, like I don't understand
from that time period.
I want to read
know?
into that more because I don't know what the reasoning of that is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because of the rally history of everything being overseas that's what it was built for
That's
and just
true.
ended up being over there. But shit, bring it here.
We got gypped.
We did get gypped. But guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm sure we missed a lot of these, and if we did, go ahead into the comment section right now and kind of give us a little note and maybe talk about cars that we didn't mention that you think are cool cars that we never got here in the States, because there's a lot more than what we touched on. I think this is just kind of a scratch on the surface.
Yeah.
As car enthusiasts, what comes to our mind real quick is stuff like this.
And it's literally foreign territory. This is just stuff that like we maybe would have bought, or if we had the money, would have bought in the time period when it was built
Right.
here or could have been imported here. So
For sure. So, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy this content, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And if you want to listen on our podcast, we do that as well. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Google Play, it's on Anchor, it's all over the place. So, multiple ways to listen and follow along with our content. But we appreciate it, guys, and we'll catch you in another episode. See ya.